Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and for today's video, I'm so excited because it's finally fall. I have mentally been in fall for a few weeks already. Like, I've been burning my fall candles. I got a new fall bed sheet, even though this is Halloween, but you get the point. Oh, and I got my Feelin' Pumpkin Spicy sweatshirt on. Bought it at Dollar General, you guys, for $8. The minute I saw it, I was like, I'm getting it. I was in a fall mood. I'm getting this sweatshirt. And I thought it'd be appropriate for me to wear it in this video. We're gonna go through my fall TBR list. These are the books that I hope to get to this fall. Mind you, I know I'm probably not gonna get to all of these books because realistically, I just know I don't read as many books as I would like to read in a month. But these are all of my options, and if you find any of these books interesting or you think you'd want to add some of these to your TBR list, definitely do so, because why not? Get your drinks going, light up your candle, and let's get started. So some of these books I actually have physically, and other books on my list I don't have with me. But I'm going to be mentioning those at the end. The first books that I'm going to talk about in this video, I hope to get through these books before the end of the year. So if I don't get through these two books by this time, just know I'm going to be shooting to read these before the end of the year because I need to. They are Kristen Hanna, The Great Alone, and The Four Winds. Now, I read The Nightingale last year, and that was my only 5-star read of last year. I did not read a lot last year. Like, I read like 10 books. I did not meet my reading goal at all. I was dealing with a severe reading slump. I just know that. But I do know that that book I absolutely loved, and it just is a book that I still think about till this day. I picked this book up last year because it was Kristen Hanna's recent book at that time, but I never got around to reading it. And then she released The Women this year, and I read that book when she released it, but I just skipped out on this one still. But I want to read it this year, and I want to read The Great Alone as well, because I feel like The Great Alone is up there in terms of people's favorites Kristen Hanna books. Like, people either like The Great Alone more or they like The Nightingale more. So I'm interested to read both of these. In The Four Winds, we are in the Great Depression. That's where the book takes place, around that time, and we follow a family who have a hard time trying to save their farm. So they are left with no options but to move to California. In The Great Alone, we are in the 70s, where we follow the Albright family as they make their move to Alaska after the father has a hard time trying to find a job. I believe he loses his job and then he has a hard time finding a job, so they make the move to Alaska, and so we follow them through their journey there and their time in Alaska. Kristen Hanna just has a way of writing. Like, I absolutely love the way she writes. I love that majority of her books are, both of these are historical fiction. I love historical fiction. She has a way of writing her books that just tug at my heart all the time. It has done so far with The Nightingale and The Women, and I have no doubt that it's going to do the same with these two. Very excited to get to these two books this fall. Another book that I'm hoping to pick up this year, let me tell you guys, I bought this book as well last year, and this was all the rave, I believe, last year. I saw a lot of people on TikTok and YouTube talking about this book, rating it like 5 stars, and that is Love and Other Words. I don't know what happened, guys. I don't know why I didn't read last year. I think, of course, my reading slump had something to do with it, but I think contemporary romance at the time that I bought this was still kind of like a genre that I wasn't so in love with, because I didn't have the best experience reading contemporary romance when I first started reading them. I only started actively reading like 2 years ago, and the first few contemporary romance books that I picked up, I just did not like. They weren't really my vibe. So I think I'm really going to enjoy it. In this book, we follow our two main characters, Macy and Elliot, who were two best friends, I believe, growing up, until Elliot confessed his love to Macy, and Macy unfortunately turned him down. So after that, they stop talking, and it isn't until they are adults where they reunite. And I'm very excited about this book. I know the front cover gives off fall vibes. Like, just by looking at the front, you can tell this is gonna be fall. And I'm very excited to read this one. Then another book that I want to pick up is Ali Smith's Autumn book. This is, I believe, Ali Smith's seasonal quartet. This is her first installment of her seasonal quartet. She has spring, summer, and winter as well, but I only have the autumn one. I've had this book for 2 years, so I decided that if I don't get to this book this year, I'm probably gonna part ways with it because that just tells me that I'm just not reaching for it. I'm gonna give myself this year though. I'm gonna try to read it during this time because it's autumn. It says right there. I don't really know much about what this book is about, but I feel like I'm gonna have a good time with it. It's called Autumn, so I just feel like it's obvious as to why I should read it this fall. Another book that I hope to pick up this fall is Heather Fawcett's Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Now, I heard Rachel here on YouTube talking about this book. I've heard also mixed reviews about it, but even the lady at Barnes & Noble recommended me this book, so I said, why not? It's giving, from what I have read, it's giving chill, comfy vibes. This is the first book in her series, so I hope that I like this one because I would hate to start a book and not finish the series. But let's hope that's not the case. So in this book, we follow our main character, Emily, who is a Cambridge professor. So she gets invited to a village of fairies where she gets to learn about them and write about them. But I believe there is also a male character who is the total opposite of her. She is not so much a people person. She comes off kind of, I'm assuming, standoffish, or she just doesn't talk well with people, but he does. So I'm interested to see how they both, I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of romance built, but I'm interested to see how that develops. And then I also picked up As Long as the Lemon Tree Grows. I also heard another booktuber talk about this book, The Clockwork Reader. I absolutely love her videos, so when I heard her recommend this book, it sounded like it was going to be a very emotional but inspirational read. We follow our main character, Salama, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that wrong, who is a pharmacy student when the cries for freedom broke out in Syria. So I'm assuming she is either having to decide of whether she should leave or she should stay and help defend her country. I'm kind of nervous to read this book, but I think it's mostly because I feel like there's just going to be a lot of devastation and emotions that as the reader I'm going to have. But again, I love when a book can do that, so when it can tug at my heartstrings. I don't think this is so much fall. I don't think it is, but I am still going to try to read it this fall. It is Coco Mellor's Blue Sisters novel. This book I'm very excited to read, actually. It's like on top of my TBR list for this fall season. We follow 3 sisters, and unfortunately there is a 4th sister, but she passes away, and she happens to have been the sister that kept all of the sisters together. But when she passed, it seems as if the other 3 sisters kind of lost communication, and it isn't until their childhood home is, I believe, getting sold, and so they have to go back, and by doing so they relive a lot of their old childhood memories and have to deal with the fact that one of their sisters is gone, and emotions are also going to surface. A lot of secrets are going to surface, and yeah, I'm very excited about this book. I feel like this is also going to be an emotional one. I like emotional books, if you can't tell. Like, I really do. I feel like when a book can do that, when a book can make me cry or like make me feel like I'm coming out of it a better person or a more understanding person, wow. I have another fantasy book. This is a book that a lot of you guys probably have already read or is probably in your TBR list as well. That is Powerless. I bought this book like before the summertime, and I never picked it up. I haven't had the urge to pick it up until now. The thing is that I'm not much of a fantasy reader. I'm trying to dabble into fantasy a little bit more. I did so with Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows, but after that I didn't pick up another fantasy book. I actually bought this one right after, intending to, you know, keep the flow of fantasy going for me, but I just never opened it. I hope to start reading this book because I've heard nothing but amazing things. We pretty much follow our main character who doesn't have any powers in the world of what pretty much what you should have powers. It's pretty much like a death sentence if you don't have any powers. She enters some sort of trial or games against people with powers, and she pretty much has to make sure she's not found out about. And we're kind of going through her journey through these trials. So it does sound like an interesting book. I just haven't picked it up. I feel like these kinds of fantasy books are going to be more up my alley, but I do want to give this book a chance, you know, because I feel like this is more like chill, calm, vibey. I might be wrong, I don't know. And this is more of like battle, fighting, which also sounds interesting to me, but I feel like, I don't know, but I don't know. But that's on my TBR list. And then the last physical book that I have is Lovely War by Julie Berry. This is a historical fiction, and this is a book that Destiny recommended. She talked about it and she gave this book a 5 stars, and off the back it sounded very interesting. It's, like I said, historical fiction, and I'm actually going to read a synopsis here because it's pretty short and it kind of gives you an idea what the book is about. Hazel, James, Aubrey, and Colette, a classical pianist from London, a British would-be architect turned soldier, a Harlem-born ragtime genius in the U.S. Army, and a Belgian orphan with gorgeous voice and devastating past. Their story, as told by goddess Aphrodite, who must spin the tale or face judgment on Mount Olympus, is filled with hope and heartbreaking prejudice and passion, and reveals that though war is formidable force, it's no match for the transcendent power of love. So we're getting some romance, we're getting some history, we're getting history fiction. You know, I feel like this is going to be a good time as well. A sad time, but a good time because it's giving me what I think it's going to give me. I'm hoping that it gives me what I think it's going to give me. I'm very sad because this was the only copy at Barnes & Noble, and I don't think you can see it, but it's like wrinkly here, and I felt too nervous to ask the Barnes & Noble employee if they had any more copies in the back. Yeah, it's just because I had asked her to help me find 2 other books, and I was not gonna ask her to look in the back. So I just took it. Okay, so those are all the physical books that I have that are on my TBR list. Now I have my list here. I have a few more other books that I want to get to this fall that I don't have with me. The first one is A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. The cover to this book looks so cute. Like, it looks so pretty. I believe we follow a witch who is not supposed to be found out about. She's supposed to kind of stay on the down low. But when she makes videos about being a witch, someone takes her seriously. Therefore, she reaches out to her, asking if she can come to a house to train a family of witches or a group of witches. Yeah, I think that's all I know so far. I don't really know much, but it did sound interesting when I did read the synopsis a while ago. So I'm hoping to also read that book. And then another book that I have is Then She Was Gone. This is a thriller, I believe. We follow our main character who unfortunately loses her daughter Ellie, and years pass and she meets this guy who happens to have a daughter that looks a lot like her daughter when she went missing. So questions rise again. Where did Ellie go? What happened to Ellie? And so these are the kind of questions that this book is going to dive into. The next book that I hope to get to is The Life Impossible. Yeah, The Life Impossible by Mike Haig. I'm hoping I pronounced his name right. And I read his book, How to Stop Time, early this year, and I absolutely loved it. I had a good time with it. I gave it a 3.5 stars, I believe. I have to go back to my Goodreads and check, but that doesn't mean that I didn't love the book. I absolutely loved the book, and that's why I want to read his latest book. I don't really know much about what this book is about. I read the synopsis once and I can't remember it, and I was going to pick it up the last time I went to Barnes, but I ended up choosing other books to buy instead. But I'm still hoping to get to this book sometime this fall. And then I also hope to get to Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. Sally Rooney, it's been a little minute since she's released a book, and I just recently finished Beautiful World, Where Are You? I actually just finished it for my last video. I'm excited to get to this book. I'm really interested to see what she has written. I believe we follow two brothers, one in his 30s and another brother in his early 20s. We're following both of their lives and also how they are dealing with their father's death. So there is a death in this book as well. And I believe the youngest brother loves chess. So I think that's where the chess theme comes to play. So that's all I can really tell you about that book. This book just came out in September, so I'm hoping to get my hands on it as well. Next two books that I'm going to mention are not out yet, but I do hope to get my hands on them when they are out. And the first one is Nothing Like the Movies. I'm so excited. Again, this isn't, I don't think this is a fall book, unless they start when they started college, because technically they'll be starting like in the fall time, so maybe it does. But we follow our two main characters from Better Than the Movies, Liz and Wes, as they go through college, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be some challenges that they face. You know, it happens when you're transitioning from high school to college, so I'm interested to see how they handle these challenges, and I'm hoping that they still end up together, because I hope Lynn Painter doesn't do anything to them. But yeah, I'm very excited for Lynn Painter. She did such a great job with Better Than the Movies. And the last book that I'm going to mention is called Inferno's Hair, H-E-I-R, by Tiffany Wong. I don't really remember much about this book as well. I saw someone talk about this book on TikTok, and this book comes out October 15th. Nothing Like the Movies comes out October 1st, and Inferno comes out October 15th. I believe in this book we follow our main character, who I don't remember her name, but she is the stepsister or just the sister to her brother, who is supposed to be taking over the throne, and she kind of goes against him and the rest of the family because she is opposed to his way of ruling, and I'm assuming a lot of fights break out. So I'm very excited to read that book as well this fall. So that completes my TBR list. It is kind of an ambitious list for me, but again, I'm happy with the options that I have laid out for myself, and yeah, I think this is going to be a great time for reading. I hope you all have a great time reading this fall. I cannot believe it's fall time already. Like, next is going to be winter, and I love winter too, but we're focusing on fall. Okay, we're focusing on fall. So I hope you guys have a great time reading this fall season. Let me know if any of these books are on your TBR list, or what's your most anticipated read from your fall TBR list. I'm very interested to read them in the comments. I'm so excited for this season because I have some videos planned out for some of these books, and I think they're going to be great. I hope they come out great. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on those videos, and that you like this video. I greatly appreciate you for making it till the end. See you guys in my next video. Bye!